I'm joined now by one championship lightweight champion, Christian Lee, also the one lightweight Grand Prix champion. What a time it was for you leading up to the pandemic. You've had a little break. Now you're defending your title finally against Iuri Lapicus at one inside the Matrix in Singapore. How excited are you to finally be back? And how refreshed are you after such a break?
Well, first off, thanks for having me, man. I'm just extremely grateful to be here in Singapore and to be competing again inside the one circle. It's been a long layoff, but it's been a great time. Thankfully, everyone in my family is safe. No one's had any complications due to COVID, and right now just we're in unknown territory, just trying to follow all the protocols that are in place. And in terms of fighting, man, I'm pumped up. The layoff's been great. I've had an excellent training camp, and I'm very excited to get in there.
You've been doing this hardcore since you were a teenager. I remember when you first came to one, you were ferocious at 17, and it seemed like it was fight after fight, knockout after submission. This must be the first time in your pro career, right, that you've had that time. Did you have any kind of niggling injuries to heal up? And mentally, did it just feel like you were able to kind of take a breath and maybe look back at some of your achievements? I don't know if that's your character or not, but was it cool to have that opportunity?
Yeah, the downtime was nice. It just allowed my body to rest, as you said. Thankfully I didn't have any injuries, but it allowed me to just rest, train, not in a fight camp sense, but, just to train, to stay fit, to stay active, continue working on my skills, and, more than ever, spend time with my wife and my family. So, the downtime was very nice, very much needed, and I'm excited to get back into work.
I can't believe you're 22, so you have yourself a wife, you have yourself a world title, and you have that Grand Prix title as well. What are you going to do in the time you're my age, man? Like, your trajectory right now is absolutely crazy. Do you plan those kind of things out? Like, by the age I'm 25, I want to do this. I want to have X amounts of fights, X amount of title defenses, X amount of belts. And then, then I want to box. Or then, you know what I mean? Have you made that kind of plan, or are you just thinking about tomorrow or next week?
Well, I am a big planner, and I like to, just mind map my goals and what I got in store for my future. And I definitely do have big plans for my career, for my life. But, right now I'm just taking it one step at a time. I find that, I get a lot more done when I just plan what I need to do to get to where I want to go, rather than plan out specific goals that I want to reach. And so, it's been working great for me, and I'm just taking it one step at a time. My first challenge in front of me is taking out Iuri Lapicus and defending my world title. So that's all my focus right now.
He looks like a really dangerous opponent. It's an interesting one because if we're being honest, he's not a big name in Asia yet, but fearsome reputation, so many finishes, undefeated, and in his first two fights in one, pretty emphatic. How dangerous is he for a defense of your title? How much have you watched of him? How big of a test is this?
I think that Yuri Lapicus, he's a very dangerous opponent. And, the biggest mistake that anybody could make in going against an opponent like Yuri is taking him for granted, because of the fact that, he's not a big name yet, because, most of his fights have been in Italy. We haven't seen him compete much in one championship other than his two bouts, but they were both finishes against top level contenders. And so, my number one thing is not taking him for granted. I know that he's undefeated. He's finished every single one of his opponents. And so I feel like he's going to get into the cage with a lot of momentum behind him, and he's definitely going to be looking to take my head off.
I did do an email interview with him, and one of my questions was, how impressed have you been with Christian? I'm someone who's like, how could you not be impressed? World title, Grand Prix title. I think you finished all but one of your fights, and ultimately he was like, I've not been overly impressed. So how do you feel about that he's not overly impressed by your accolades?
I feel like that's just his way of giving him that extra confidence that he needs. And everyone deals with it differently. So for me, I'm not going to take anything away from Yuri. I think that he's earned his spot as the number one contender. He's a dangerous opponent, and I'm just looking forward to getting into that circle and fighting him.
Yeah, one thing I did want to ask you was Amir Khan. Back to form. You guys were neck and neck for the most knockouts in one, and now he's moved ahead. And I know you're somebody who enjoys those kind of records. So does that give you a bit of extra motivation to jump back in there and finish Yuri?
Yeah, me and Amir, we've been at the top list for most finishes in one. We've been neck and neck. But I really don't feel that either of us are chasing that title. That's just how we both fight, and we both started our careers in one championship and have had every fight, almost every fight, end in a finish. And so it's only natural that we're the top two leading the boards up for that. But I'm not going to be looking to break that record. My plan is to go there and finish Iuri Lapicus. So if I do, that's just going to add another finish to my record. But that's not something that I keep track of. And props to him. He did a great job in his last fight.
It's just a nice bonus, I guess, of performing well.
Definitely.
How pleased are you that we're actually going to have some fans in the stadium? This is a kind of a new development. It seems super encouraging. Just any fans at all. It's going to be a unique number of fans. It's a special thing, but it adds something, right? Performing in front of a live audience, no matter what the size. Do you get a bit extra motivation out of that?
Actually, it wasn't until my last interview about an hour ago where I was informed that there's going to be, I believe, 25 fans in the stadium. And, that's news to me. But I was prepared to go in there with an empty crowd. And, whether it's, no people, 25 people, 25,000 people, it doesn't make a difference to me once that gate goes shots.
I think it might be 250.
Is it?
I think so.
Okay.
So.
Well, 250, that's
now.
great.
Yeah,
that's great. I have no idea about that current situation. That's still just news to me that there's going to be, fans in the crowd. And I think that's great. I feel like the public's been really, eager to watch public sports again. And so I'm excited, looking forward to putting on a show for whoever's in attendance.
The fans have missed you guys, and some of the bigger names coming over from the US is a big deal. I think it's encouraging. So, although, it's a hassle, right? It's not easy to get over here. There are so many protocols in place, but because it's possible now, do you think we're going to see more of you, even if it does mean all of jumping over some hurdles to get here?
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of steps, a lot of safety precautions in place for this event. We had to take a COVID test before we left. We took a COVID test upon arriving. I'm in the process of finishing my 48 hours of quarantine here in the hotel. And so, it is a lot, but, again, there's so many fighters that have been sidelined this whole year. And, I know they're itching to fight. So for me, I'm just excited and grateful to be back in the octagon, to be back in the cage again. And, I'm looking forward to this for sure.
I've got to say there's an interesting matchup. I know you, it means a lot to you defending your title, and I know this division is important to you, being a great champion, but you can't ignore the fact that you're number 2 in featherweight. That must be quite nice. And the title is on the line. We've got Martin Nguyen against Tan Le. Martin Nguyen, I think, is maybe a destined rival for you over the length of your career, because I know you want to get that one back. How close an eye are you going to keep on that one, given that you're ranked number 2 in featherweight, but you've got your own business to take care of?
That's definitely a fight that I'm going to be keeping in mind. However, that fight's, I believe, the fight right before me. So on the day of the match, I'm not going to have any focus on their match. I'm going to spend all my time focusing on my fight with Iuri Lapicus. But after the event is over, I'm definitely going to go back, rewatch the tape, and, break that fight down.
According to reports, Gary Tonon's going to be taking on Matsushima as well, which is kind of another interesting one for that division. How difficult is it, I guess, to divide your attention? I know, again, your primary focus is lightweight, but you've got to have one eye on that division. Being number 2, it's right there for you. So again, that's another matchup. These guys could all be in your future, whether it's in a month, 6 months, a year from now. It's something that I guess you're surely very conscious of.
Yeah, I'm definitely keeping my eye on the featherweight division, but right now my number one priority is just doing my job and defending the throne at lightweight. So um, if I do go back down, it'll be for one reason, and that's for the belt. I'm not going to spend any time with contender matches, but right now the only thing I'm focused on is Iuri Lapicus.
I'm with you. I'm with you. All right. And so there was some interesting back and forth in the past few weeks. That whole thing between Angela and Denise was interesting. I think a lot of fans were kind of intrigued. Is it nice to see that Angela, there's no question that she's going to be vacating. She's going to keep her belt, and they're going to do a Grand Prix. Are you pleased to see that that's how things have come to fruition? And also, the division's looking strong as ever. So when Angela does come back, she's got some really exciting competition. How do you feel about that whole situation?
When I first heard the news about, talk about stripping Angela from her title, I was just very shocked with that. Angela, she won the inaugural atomweight women's world title. I believe back in like 2015, 2016. And since then, she's defended her belt multiple times, and there's been no one in the atomweight division who could even touch her. So I feel like she has every right to keep the belt, and she's definitely earned that spot. Denise, she was ranked as the number one contender, but if you look back at her fights, she did a good job beating Mei Yamaguchi in a decision. But other than that, no real big, impressive matches to push for her getting the title shot, let alone getting the belt once Angela relinquishes it. So I feel like the Grand Prix was the right thing to do, and I'm excited for that because that will give Angela the time that she needs, to rest, recover, get back into camp, and then defend her belt again once she gives birth.
That's all happening. I feel like there's so much news for your family right now. Victoria signing with ONE was massive news as well. How proud are you as a brother, and how much are you kind of helping to manage this situation? Because she's yet to make her pro debut. So how carefully has that got to be considered? Roughly when do you think that will be?
Oh man, I'm so extremely proud of Victoria getting signed to ONE Championship. She's had an amazing year last year, winning so many big competitions, and for sure, she's going to be the top prospect to look for in the atomweight division. I'm really excited for her debut, but between me, Angela, and my dad, we're all guiding her career very carefully. We're making sure that she's taking the right steps, and we're going to definitely give her the right career path and guide her every step of the way. And I feel like it really helps because Angela started her pro career at 18 years old. I started my pro career at 17 years old. And so we're able to give her, that experience, that insight that we never had when we were starting our careers. And so by the time Victoria has her first fight, she's going to be more than ready.
Do you think early next year for her, end of this year? Do you have a rough idea about when her debut will be?
I see her debut happening pretty soon. If not the end of this year, early next year for sure.
It's exciting. Wow. Yeah, as I said, it's all happening. Ultimately, back to Yuri, back to this one. Are you anticipating a bit of a war with him, or do you see it going like we've seen many of your fights go throughout your career? Do you think a ferocious finish is on the cards?
What I see with this match is I see Yuri coming straight towards me, looking to bring the fight. And I think he's going to try to take my head off very early. So my plan is to go straight forward, clash with him, and, it's going to be an early finish.
It's going to be a lot of fun as well. Everyone's looking forward to this one. 4 massive world title fights. Christian, always a pleasure, and always cannot wait to see you perform, doing what you do best. Cheers, man.
All right. Thanks for having me.